So being in Albany, I served as first an intern, a legislative aide, an office manager, ultimately running for the state assembly in June of 2009. So I've served 4 years, and it's truly been a blessing. Understanding how Albany works, how a bill becomes a law, the process by which we as legislators, effectuate change that affects every New Yorker. It was very interesting, very challenging in a large body of the state assembly, 150 members, but really having a role in a lot of the policy that was driven in New York State. I've been a part of so many efforts to reform our marijuana laws, increasing the minimum wage, fighting for education funding, fighting for our SUNY and CUNY schools, economic development, MWBE reform. And I look back at the 4 years, and now that I'm going into the city council, I feel that all of the work I've learned and experience I've acquired in assembly really gives me an advantage in the city council, because a lot of the work we do in the council is really driven by state policy, monies that we do receive in our budget from Albany, from the federal government. So I'm really looking forward to being a part of the class of 2014 and really moving New York City forward so that we can have a system that is equal for everyone and gives opportunity to everyday New Yorkers. The number one priority for me are jobs, economic development projects in the Bronx that really stimulate the economy, grow our communities, provide sustainable and long-term jobs for families. Bronx County has one of the highest unemployment rates in the state, and so every day I am faced with helping constituents either find jobs, get better jobs, or come off of unemployment. So what I'm looking to do in the city council is to be a part of the conversation with any new development that is coming into the Bronx, to make sure that there's equity, there's a local provision, there's a major impact in a good way. People want jobs, they want apprenticeship opportunities, we want young people to build careers and college readiness. We want to make sure that young people are getting those access to jobs as they should. Union jobs, prevailing wage, making sure that we're living in a sustainable economy, and making sure that our adults are really living and providing for their families. So what I have really been focusing on are food deserts. I live in a borough that is high in obesity, diabetes, and other health ailments. And so I want to make sure that we are promoting better fruits and vegetables and products for families. Healthcare is truly important. I represent a hospital in my district, so I want to make sure that we are providing quality healthcare for families. There's a lot of opportunity and a lot of potential in the Bronx. The Hunts Point Terminal Market, I think, is a viable option to make sure that that produce is staying in the Bronx. And I think in my district, they already are doing that. I'm a big fan of school-based health centers, of our community health centers, of building partnerships. A lot of residents and families are underinsured or uninsured, and so they're using emergency rooms as their form of primary care. We need to educate a lot of our residents on the services, the resources that are out there, using our community partners as networking opportunities to engage in what is necessary for our families. We have a community that's growing. We have a huge growth in the African community, within the Latino community, within the immigrant community. And so we want to make sure as they're assimilating into the Bronx that they know what services are out there. I am a big fan of making sure that young people are educated and they're given access, and the school-based health centers is the way to go. I think a lot of the bad behavior that's in the past can really be changed by education, by intervention, by prevention. I've been a strong advocate in Albany on lupus, which is a chronic illness that affects a lot of women in New York, women of color, and I am a big fan of making sure that we provide funding for that so that we can prevent a lot of these cases of lupus and ultimately have a community where everyone is living healthier, we're living longer, and we have access to fruits, vegetables, and other products that can allow us to live a better life. So I think the relationships between law enforcement and community residents is always an evolving work in progress. While I think, there are a lot of challenges when you look at some of our communities, I think that we're moving in the right direction. I'm a big fan of the Explorers and other programs that really engage young people with law enforcement, because sometimes their only introduction is a negative one, and it's based on sometimes an individual occurrence. I work with all of my local precincts, my PSAs. Every month when we do clergy council meetings, I talk with my inspectors. I make sure I keep that line of communication open. But I'm a big fan of education, of young people understanding what their rights are and what their responsibilities are. The stop and frisk is a major problem in my district, so a lot of the reform that's been talked about, the Inspector General bill, the Community Safety Act, are all widely supported in my community. But at the end of the day, we want police in our community. We want them to patrol our neighborhoods, but in the right way. We want new officers to understand the character of the neighborhoods in which they're serving in, understand some of the challenges, and certainly work with us. Just because of the color of your skin, the way you look, the corner you stand on, should not be a reason why you're stopped and frisked. And so we understand that. We do need some sort of a crime fighting tool. That we understand, we all accept that, because many of my seniors and other residents, we want to travel in our community safely. We want to make sure we can get to and from places, and we know that we have someone that's always watching us. And so as we move forward with the new appointment of Bill Bratton, I'm very hopeful, because I think he understands what our communities go through. He's not new to the NYPD. I think what we hope from him is to bring a new vision that's really going to provide a balance. Yes, we want cops in our community, but we want them doing their jobs in the right way. I think we all want the same thing, but how we get there is where the challenge lies. There is room for policing, for community policing, tenant patrols, making sure that neighborhood residents are aware of what's going on in their communities and they're speaking out. A lot of people are scared to talk about the neighborhood drug dealer or someone that has a gun because they have to live there. And so we want to make sure that the resources are there. A lot of quality of life issues that do not get addressed because we have so many other issues with gangs and guns and violence. So I think while we talk about resources, while we talk about community policing, I do think there is a lot of room for opportunity to find a balance between law enforcement, community residents, our clergy, our labor leaders, our unions, our elected officials. I do think there is good room, and I think that Bill Bratton is a good person to find that balance.